Yeah, use a party song. Thank you guys very much.
All right. Okay, we have our first, this is Linda Matthews. She's from New Boston. Her pumpkin's going to weigh in today at 188 pounds. There it is, folks. Let's hear it for Linda Matthews. This is a non-previously weighed pumpkin. We have 3 in that category today. They've never seen the scales. This is all new to the growers.
You want her top? You want her lifting top?
I just leave it right there. That'd be fine. A lot of the growers hold on to their pumpkins. They leave them in the patch specifically for today's event. And that's what Linda did, and there it is, a nice little 188-pound entry. Linda is, she's actually been growing giant pumpkins for 9 years, and she works on the board of directors for the New Hampshire Giant Pumpkin Growers Association. If anybody here would be interested in joining the club, you could get a membership form over here. It's $20 for a year. You get invited to all the different events throughout the year, and you have access to some of the best seeds in the world and some of the best knowledge and information you could ask for.
They're gonna win another one.
Really nice color. Yellow and orange.
In case you're wondering what the biggest pumpkin in the world is, right now the world record is 2,306 pounds, and it was grown in Sweden. This hobby has become recognized throughout the world. There's a group that's been formed. It's called the Giant Pumpkin Commonwealth. They recognize all the weights. You have to be registered way off site to include your weights. So we're getting weights from all over the world. This particular grower was a world record holder 3 times, and he's recently captured the world record again with 2,306 pounds. It's unbelievable, the weights, how they've climbed over the years. All right, here we have our next entry, Curtis Rubin. He's from, Curtis Rubin from Dunbarton, New Hampshire. He's been growing giant pumpkins for 6 years and capturing first place in all of the youth division. But this year he has reached the adult division, so he's with the big boys. His pumpkin's going to weigh in today, right now, at 451 pounds. Let's hear it for Sam Rubin. Look at that, folks. If you see Sam walking around, you'll notice he's wearing one of these sweatshirts. He had an 800-pound giant pumpkin a few years ago and earned one of these sweatshirts. When you reach 1,000 pounds, you get a jacket through the club. So we recognize our growers from year to year and their accomplishments. And as a youth, in the youth division, he already won. He has got the sweatshirt captured. But nice pumpkin. This is one of 3 that Sam grew. He came in, I think, 5th place at the Rochester Fair with 650 pounds roughly. And it's one of the pumpkins we'll be using for a boat today. So we have 1 entry left in the non-previously weighed category. Tell you a little bit about this grower. You don't hear much from him during the season, but boy, when it comes time to put him on the scale, he kind of comes out of the woodwork, and he's usually got a pretty decent little pumpkin. He's been growing giant pumpkins for 15 years. His name is Norman Page. He's from Bedford, New Hampshire. We're always happy to have Norm at the competition. And like I said, he's placed in the top 10 several times, so he really knows how to grow some good ones. Let's see if we get a first place winner right now. Could he take first place away from Sam Rubin? This will be Norm Page from Bedford, New Hampshire. All right, the numbers are climbing, looking good for Norm. I think he's going to be pretty excited when he sees this. Right now, Norm Page going to come in with his winner of 614 pounds. Let's hear it for Norm Page. And that is indeed the winner of the non-previously weighed category. He'll take home $150, actually $300 for that. He'll take home the first place trophy, and he will be recognized as this year's winner in the non-previously weighed category.
Now we're squash.
Why don't we do the squash? Huh?
You guys want to keep watching? Walk down the street? I don't know about that.
No, I don't want to. I know. The only way is once you have a family member, have somebody represent.
How much?
Both, you know. Well, even the guy.
Let's get there.
In the old days,
Let's get there. He's no
not yet. Oh, not yet. All right, we're going to move on to the squash category. You'll notice there's 3 entries out here that are totally green. These are considered squash. There was a day and time when everything was green. These were originally, these originated in Europe, and they were used to feed the livestock, the cattle, the pigs, and that's all they were used for. A gentleman by the name of Howard Dill was visiting one time, this was probably 25 to 30 years ago, and he said, boy, if I could turn one of these things orange, what a nice looking pumpkin it would be. So he got some seeds for these squash, and he planted them, and he introduced the orange from the genetics of the Burpee's pumpkin. And he slowly, over years, he created what you're looking at today. As you'll notice, they're all variations of orange, but anything other than green is now recognized as a pumpkin. This next entry came all the way down from Vermont. He's one of our good friends. He's with us every year to this event. His name's Wilbur Horton. He comes from Springfield, Vermont. He'll let us have this entry for a boat this year. Wilbur's going to weigh in today at 689 pounds, 689 for Wilbur Horton. There you have it, folks. That's a nice looking squash. We're going to use that for one of the boats. And that is our leader right now in the squash category. Growing these giant squash is actually more of a challenge than growing the pumpkins. The squash tend to be a little more difficult getting a pollination. They just kind of take their time. The bees don't have anything to do with them in most cases. You've got to self-pollinate them. So it's definitely, it can be a challenge. We don't typically have 3 entries in squash, but we do today.
I know.
Should we disqualify this one?
Yeah, too much orange. All right, the next entry on the squash is my entry. It's a squash. I've been growing giant pumpkins and giant squash for over 17 years. I was the New England champion in 2005 with 1,314 pounds. I won the Topsfield competition. It was the 7th largest in the world that year, so I got a feeling, I got a taste of what it was like to be in the leader of the pack on growing these. Haven't grown anything that big since. It's a lot of work, and it's a challenging hobby. This year I grew 2 pumpkins and 1 squash, and I brought the squash here today. Oh yeah. All right, here we go, folks. My entry today in the giant squash category is going to weigh 888 pounds. 888 pounds. Let's give it up for me. talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Bring it on, bring it on. Hey, what are you gonna do? When I grew that record pumpkin, I was the announcer that day too. And I had a lot of people looking at me funny at the Topsfield Fair. You know, the guy talking on the mic wins the whole damn thing, you know. Bring on the prize money. But hey, we all compete. We all compete. So that's number 2 in the squash. We got one left. It came up from Billerica, Massachusetts. So we're going to find out what that entry weighs at. The current New Hampshire record holder for giant squash is our good friend Mr. Jim Coon from Goffstown. Let's give him a round of applause. 1,014 pounds was his record breaker. 0.5, he said. He actually took that title from me. I had 880 pounds for like 5 or 6 years, and Jim grew a 1,014 pounder. So he's the current New Hampshire record holder. The state of New Hampshire record was also topped this year. A gentleman by the name of Hiram Watson from Farmington, New Hampshire, grew the state record of 1,900 pounds. It was weighed at the Deerfield Fair. He would be here with that for everybody to enjoy, but it was, I believe he sold it, so we didn't have access to it.
Hey, look.
Sure, I think the Ellsworth thing. It's got a bar in the spring.
Yeah. Right, we gotta mention our other world record too. Bill Radonis, Charlie Hope, and Steve Geddes. All right, our last squash entry is about to go up, and I see the numbers are jumping right up there. It looks like he's gonna be right up there. Will he hit 1,000 pounds, folks? We're close. Joe Post from Billerica, Mass, 996 pounds. Let's hear it for Joe Post from Billerica, Massachusetts. If you get a chance, folks, you want to come around and take a look at the stem on this thing. It's the size of an elephant trunk. It's probably the largest stem I've seen on a giant squash before. It's about 14 inches long, got a diameter of about 17 inches around. But that's typical of a squash, and the world record on squash is 1,506 pounds. That was just broke this year. The world record was 1,486 for about 10 years was the world record. Nobody could top that, and the gentleman beat it this year with 1,506 pounds. So compared to the world record in pumpkins, the pumpkins are nearly almost 1,000 pounds more as far as the world record. So that tells you a little something. Fewer people grow the squash, and when they do, they just don't reach the weights that the pumpkins weigh. We're going to move on to the next category. Hey, Katie. Yeah,
Are you putting your picture somewhere?
But I felt that he recognized me. And I said, and I took it. And it gets so big, and with the boys, it's a big
That's why you didn't look at you.
It can only be in one category. It can only enter one category. Oh, yeah, we're going to. Yeah, right. All right. I see my little grandson over there. He had a happy birthday. Happy birthday to Jacob. Yes, sir. He turned 7 years old recently. I'd like to extend a happy birthday to him. All right, folks. We're going to move on to the what we call the previously weighed category, and we have 8 or 10 entries in that category. And this is when we're going to get right up there to the biggies, the big boys. These they've been previously weighed, and they've been displayed at other competitions like the Deerfield Fair, the Topsfield Fair. Some have been to Rhode Island. They've been all over New England in various competitions. We're going to go to our first one right now. This one was weighed in Rochester at the Rochester Fair. Came in, I believe, 4th or 5th at that time. And it's Sam Rubin again. He was our second place winner in the non-previously weighed division. Sam Rubin, he's right from Route 13 in Dumbarton. Just turned 16, so he's now in the adult category. Look at this, folks. He's got some very nice numbers on this. Are we up there all the way? 655 pounds for Sam Rubin. Current leader right now. That's our first entry in the previously weighed category. Sam, along with his dad Curtis, are very excited about this hobby. Every spring they get in touch with me. We get back and forth, get them some good seeds. Jim, which one's next? Yeah, you make the call. Okay. Thank you. Like I mentioned earlier, if you're interested in a seed to grow one of these giant pumpkins, I got a jar full up here. Come on up and get one if you want. You got to get a seed from somebody who's grown one, and these will grow you a nice big orange pumpkin, and it's going to get big. So if you want a seed, come on up, and they're free. All right. Our next entry is a local boy. I'll call him local boy because he was a boy when he started this hobby. He's now a man. Grows these giant pumpkins in his backyard. Very, very impressive garden. He really keeps things looking good. He's an owner of the local business down the road, Twisted Fender, Mark Majarian. Been doing this for about 5 years now. Coming with some impressive weights. He came the closest I've ever seen anybody come to hitting 1,000 pounds last year, and he had a 999.5. So, but this year he did hit 1,000 pounds at the Topsfield Fair. So he is now in the elite club. He'll get himself a jacket this year. But Mark Majarian from Goffstown, New Hampshire. We're going to set it up right now. Let's see what we got for a weight. All right, look at this. All right, the numbers are jumping on the scale. 646 pounds. 646 for Mark Majarian from Goffstown, New Hampshire. Like I said, this is his smaller of his two. He grew 3 plants. So to come home at the end of the season with a 1,000-pounder and then a 600-pounder, that's a successful season. These giant pumpkins, like I said, will grow 25 to 30 pounds a day, but ultimately they meet their end and they slowly decrease. They'll go down to 20, down to 15, down to 10, and before you know it, they're doing 5 pounds a day. 5 pounds a day seems like a lot, but it takes 10 days to get 50 pounds, and in this competition, 50 pounds means a lot. So the growers like it when they're growing 25 pounds a day for 10 days straight. You're off to a good season. A interesting fact and point of interest to everybody out there, there have been 3 world records grown right here in the state of New Hampshire. Our very first world record came in 2002 with Charlie Houghton from New Boston. He grew a world record of 1,337 pounds, which was unheard of in its time. If you could grow a 1,000-pounder, you were an elite grower. You were at the top of your game. He came out with a 1,337-pound pumpkin and won the world record, and we displayed it right here in the town of Goffstown. In 2007, our good friend Bill Rodonis from Litchfield, he brought a 1,566-pound pumpkin to the scales, and he also won a world record. I'll continue that story in just a minute, but for now, we're gonna weigh Barry LeBlanc from Merrimack, New Hampshire. Been growing giant pumpkins for 7 years. He is a Howard Dill winner for a Pretty Pumpkin Award. Look at this, folks. We're going to take a big jump, I think, from 6s. We're up in the 9s with this 905 pounds. So Barry LeBlanc right there. 905 pounds, Barry LeBlanc from Merrimack, New Hampshire. We appreciate Barry bringing that up here, and he's offered this pumpkin. This beautiful orange pumpkin will be floating down the Piscataquag River tomorrow in the Giant Pumpkin Regatta. Now, if you haven't seen the Giant Pumpkin Regatta, let's talk about it. We're going to put 10 boats in the river tomorrow. We're going to put grown adults in these pumpkins, and we call them it's the Giant Pumpkin Regatta. They'll actually get in the pumpkin. They'll be ballasted with sand, so they're floating stable. And we'll send them down the river with nothing but a paddle. And you've heard the story. Up a creek with nothing but a paddle. You're going to see 10 guys tomorrow up a creek with a paddle, but it's a pumpkin boat. They'll compete for the first place finish, and then they'll entertain the crowd amongst the sharks. And if you haven't seen the sharks in the river, take a walk down and see what's going on. If you've seen the movie Sharknado, this will give you an idea what you're about to see tomorrow. We have several sharks in the water, dorsal fins coming up everywhere, and they'll be attacking the pumpkin boats as they float down the river. Okay, we now have another entry from Mark Majarian from the Twisted Fender, like as I mentioned earlier. Been growing giant pumpkins for only 4 years, folks. Last year, he wooed the crowd right here with a 999.5-pound pumpkin. This year, he's on a quest to grow 1,000-pound pumpkins. Could this be his first year for 1,000 pounds? Mark Majarian from Goffstown, New Hampshire. Look at the numbers jumping, folks, right there. 1,017 pounds from Mark Majarian. We have jumped the 1,000-pound barrier today. In this short time, we've hit 1,000 pounds, and we're there. And my gut feeling tells me they're going to only get bigger as we move on. And Mark just reminded me, this will be in the river as one of the competing boats tomorrow in the Giant Pumpkin Regatta.
Mom, here?
You want to be in it? Turn around. I can be in it. Very nice. Look up here.
Two are John's and then one is Peter's. Whichever one a week. Okay.
I know, that's what I said. Did you say no? So that one likes to die, so you can't have the dog. She was so bad.
I know, I go here. And there's still more.
There are some reindeer that have hair.
Yeah, we looked at that.
I know.
Okay, our next entry came up from Derry, New Hampshire. This guy is a hoot, let me tell you. Him and his wife, they're all about growing big pumpkins. They've been growing giant pumpkins longer than I have. Let me tell you, he's been doing it for about 20 years. He was growing 1,100-pound pumpkins when it was hard to grow 800-pound pumpkins. His name is John Gerges. And like I said, he's from Derry, New Hampshire, and he wooed the crowd a short time ago at the Deerfield Fair with a monster of a pumpkin, well over 1,300 pounds. Let's see what he's got right here for us today. John Gerges from Derry, New Hampshire. Up she goes, inspected, looks good. We get the thumbs up, 1,035 pounds for John Gerges, our new leader. This too, folks, will be in the water as a boat tomorrow.
He's a leader. We had
If you picture this, John lives on a little street where the houses are all 50 feet apart. He's got a backyard, a 50 by 50 backyard, and he grows 2 giant pumpkins every year. This year he had a 1,300-pound pumpkin, and he had a 1,000-pound pumpkin. So he knows how to grow giant pumpkins in a little backyard. His neighbors are kind of looking at him funny, but hey, that's what we all get. You're doing an unusual hobby, and you're creating interest. And look at you folks here today, because you think this is pretty neat.
Hey, Jim, how you doing?
Good to see you.
Good job.
15 years ago, the town of Goffstown was looking to create an event. They wanted to create an event that would be an attraction to not only the community itself, but the surrounding community. A destination where people would come and, enjoy the day. Well, the New Hampshire Giant Pumpkin Growers partnered up with the Goffstown Main Street program, and we came up with this idea. Let's make it happen. A weigh-off on Saturday and our Giant Pumpkin Regatta on Sunday. We'll have over 5,000 people visiting the town of Goffstown between today and tomorrow. You don't want to miss it. Tomorrow, the regatta, we're going to have a pumpkin drop at 12 noon. We'll lift a 750-pound pumpkin 60 feet in the air on a crane, and we're going to drop it into a pool of water 4 feet deep, 14 feet wide. The pumpkin will shatter into 1,000 pieces, and there'll be seeds everywhere for the kids. If you've never seen it, folks, bring your cameras, head on down, and it'll be right on Church Street. Pumpkin was donated by my nephew Seth Boschman. It weighs 750 pounds, and he said the seeds are free for the taking, and the kids can enjoy grabbing the seeds. If you come on down, you'll see that. 12 noon, we kicked the afternoon off with that pumpkin drop. Our good friends at On Point Concrete Foundations will be there with their crane, and Eric will lift that pumpkin as high as he can get it. I'll zero it into that pool and we'll watch her drop. Of course, we have a countdown, and that kicks it off, so that's a lot of fun. Our next entry is our good friend. That's our good friend John Gerges again from Derry, New Hampshire. This is his second entry. This also, too, will be used as a boat. Can he beat his other one of 1,035? John Gerges, you're going to weigh in today at 1,280 pounds. John Gerges. 1,280 pounds. John Gerges from Derry, New Hampshire. That, we all understand, that was a previously weighed pumpkin, and it weighed 1,302 pounds at the Topsfield Fair 2 weekends ago. The pumpkins will lose about 10 pounds a week. It's a normal dehydration, just a process they dehydrate, and they'll lose their weight.
Last.
Okay, we've got one left. Yep. All right, we got one more left, and it's a biggie. I know everybody's been sitting around waiting to see what this big boy's going to weigh. Before I tell you a little bit about the pumpkin, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the guy who grew it. This guy is a dedicated giant pumpkin grower. He's been with the club for 10 years. 10 years. He earned his sweatshirt with an 800-pounder in the past. That was his largest, 800 pounds. But this year he had set himself a goal. He wanted to hit 1,000 pounds or better and be in the elite category of the giant pumpkin community. His name's Peter Crisp. He came up from Nashua, New Hampshire. He grew this pumpkin, one of only 2 pumpkins in the pumpkin patch. And when he showed up at the Hopkinton Fair, well, it was actually the Deerfield Fair with this one, we were all amazed. And Peter would accomplish such a giant feat in the giant pumpkin community. After 10 years, he reached that pinnacle of not only 1,000 pounds, but wait till you see what this Giant Pumpkin weighs, folks.
Okay,
All right, here we go. We're gonna, they're taking their time. They don't want to break the stem. All right, here we go. This is Peter Chris from Nashua, New Hampshire. Look at this, folks. They're holding on slowly. They're getting the knot tightened up. We're now released. We got the thumbs up. Peter Chris going to weigh in today at 1,280 pounds. That's your winner. 1,280 pounds. From Peter Chris from, oh, we go. Wait a minute.
let him duke it out.
Wait a minute. Somebody put their chewing gum on the bottom of that thing. Look at that. We have a tie, folks. They just brought it to my attention. Let's get the weight one more time. Set it up, reset it, because we may not. It's moving a little bit. How about this, Robert? Can we set it down and pick it up one more time? And we're going to reweigh this. How often do we see this? Not often. In the Giant Pumpkin world, to get a tie for first place is not very common. All right, we're going to set it down. Peter's going to put his chewing gum on the stem. Weighs about... Okay, we're going to... The current leader right now is 1,280 pounds. That's John Gerges from Derry, New Hampshire. Okay, we're going to reset the scale. Do we want to reset?
We have to take it off.
Okay, so just bring it back up again. Bring it back up.
There's a crosswalk right there.
Let's face it, folks, this is for $300 in first place. We want to get it right. I personally know what they weighed at their previous competition, and this pumpkin actually weighed about 24 more pounds than John's. Dehydration. Who left theirs in the sun? Who covered it, kept it in the shade for the last week or two? If you took the time to do that, there's a chance you didn't lose as much weight in the past 2 weeks. Okay, we zeroed off the scale. And we're going to lower the lifting ring, and we are going to get a new accurate weight on this and see, do we still have a tie? All right. I was just informed by the judges, in all fairness to competition, we're going to re-weigh John Gerges's, because if they both, if this one needed to be re-weighed, we will have to re-weigh the other one. All right, for you folks who just arrived, we have a tie so far on the two largest pumpkins, and we're re-weighing them for the final weight to see if they're exactly the same again. We have Peter Chris from Nashua, New Hampshire. His weighed in at 1,280 pounds. And John Gerges from Derry, New Hampshire. He also weighed at 1,280. That is a tie for today's competition. We're going to re-weigh them. That's just what we do in the Giant Pumpkin community. We give them a second chance. Yeah. You can have a tied hockey game, you can have a tied baseball game, but you don't have a tied pumpkin competition. Sudden death, sudden death. That's what it's all about. Norm Page is tying his knot down there. We're going to get this as close as we can to perfection. We don't want any miscalculations. All right, I think we're ready to lift. We're going to find out right now. Peter Chris is going to get his second chance at this right now. We're going to see. But before we all applaud, we're going to reweigh Johns in all fairness.
The other team went in.
All right, up she's going to go. Peter Chris from
Oh, it's going up.
Nashua, New Hampshire.
It's not even going that high. No, but it's...
All right, folks, the numbers are climbing. Thank you very much. They're climbing, they're climbing. We're up to 700. Up she's going. We get the thumbs up. There she goes. We're going to stand back and nobody's touching a thing. We remove the cord. Yeah, get the cord where it belongs. And we do have a different weight, folks. It is a little different than it was a minute ago. 1,284 pounds. 1,284 pounds for Peter Cresp. A huge accomplishment. We will reweigh John Gergis's real quick. And we're going to find out if indeed Peter Crisp. A lot of times what will happen, folks, could be dirt. There could have been some dirt caked on the bottom before or not after. And so a reweigh is an order. And there you have it. A difference of 4 pounds. We're going to find out right now. We'll be handing out the trophies and prize money at the conclusion of this weigh-off. So if you want to stick around, get photos of your favorite grower. Maybe have your favorite grower card signed. Just like baseball cards, we have Giant Pumpkin Grower cards. All right, where we are with John Gergis from Derry, New Hampshire. They're retying the knot, resetting the scale. We got the thumbs up. Everything's in order, John Gergis. Let's see, can he take the lead from Peter Crisp from Nashua? He needs to beat 1,284 pounds. Scale's climbing, the numbers are up there. Oh boy, all right where we were. Let it settle, let it settle. What do you think, George? I'm seeing 1,281 pounds. Peter Crisp from Nashua, New Hampshire is this year's winner with 1,284 pounds, a difference of 3 pounds. The reweigh, it went up a little bit on both, but more to Peter's advantage than John. So Peter, indeed, from Nashua, New Hampshire, is this year's Giant Pumpkin competition winner at the Goffstown Weigh-Off and Regatta. All right, we're going to give away some prize money and some trophies. Right now, we'll do the squash first. Technically, we had 3 in the competition. Only 2 will qualify for prize money. Rules for the competition is the grower must be present. One of the growers couldn't make it today, but his pumpkin did. So coming in second place. Second place in the squash category, winning a trophy and $100 will be Wilbur Horton from Vermont. Let's hear it for Wilbur, Springfield, Vermont.
Awesome.
That's great.
Yeah, exactly. He goes overtime on weekends, so it's not mandatory. Awesome.
I got Peter and John was there.
I have a pay for the application.
And first place squash category with the $150 would be myself, Jim Boschman.
Got another guy that's gonna retire.
I love giving myself money and trophies.
And again, Josh, just put it through and see what happens.
Okay, we'll move on to the non-previously weighed category. We had 3 entries there in the non-previously weighed.
He needs the benefits. But the guy, I mean,
Coming in third place at 188 pounds. Over the last 188 pounds. Our very own Linda Matthews. Let's give her a round of applause right here. Shake the hand or shook the hand. All right.
I like that better.
There we go. That's what we're talking. That's a Hollywood kiss there, Robert, wasn't it?
Thank you very much. You're next, Peter.
Yes, sir. Coming in second place in the non-previously weighed division, winning $150. Our very own Sam Rubin. Come on up, Sam. Show me the money. That's what it's all about. Sam's been he's been working hard in the pumpkin patch, trying to raise money, save up some money, get himself a new laptop, he told me, and this is all putting it in the right direction. That's what it's all about. We need to get more of the kids involved. Maybe next year with these seeds we've handed out today, we'll see some new entries. And your first place winner in the non-previously weighed category, from Bedford, New Hampshire, weighing in at 614 pounds, Norm Page. Come on up, Norm. Hey, PJ. All right, we're going to move on now to our previously weighed competition category. We have several entries there, and we have some big ones, and they all deserve prizes, but we only have enough prize money for the top 4. Our fourth place winner, and at 905 pounds, all the way from Merrimack, New Hampshire, Barry LeBlanc. Come on up, Barry. All right, coming in third place, reaching his goal of over 1,000 pounds for the first time, our good friend Mark Majarian, 1,017 pounds, and he lives right here in Goffstown, New Hampshire. Our second place winner, with 1,281 pounds, from Derry, New Hampshire, John Gerges. Come on up. And our undisputed winner of the 2014 Giant Pumpkin previously weighed category, from Nashua, New Hampshire, weighing in at 1,284 pounds. Let's give it up for Peter Crisp, all the way from Nashua. A first-time competition winner from Peter Crisp, right there. One more round of applause. Show him how much you appreciate bringing that Giant Pumpkin here. He will indeed give that pumpkin to the Main Street program. You'll see it in the river tomorrow as one of the boats. I don't believe it'll win first place in the boat category because it's going to be slow going for whoever gets that boat. I think that concludes everything. No out of Kevin Kearns, right? We had we had one out-of-state entry. First place, only place at 328 pounds. Kevin Kearns, our out-of-state winner, right there. All right, as we end at the end of this competition, I'd like to give a special thanks for everything he does. Our club president, Robert Demers. Let's give him a round of applause. Been our president for 10 years probably now, and we're still chugging. We're always looking for new memberships. Come on up and join the club.